Okay, can you hear my voice? Can anyone type yes or one if you can hear me? Oh, okay, okay, great, great. Okay, so I think you all have your voice enabled and you all can hear me. Okay, let me just quickly check. Okay, okay, great. Okay, fine. So I think we can start today's session. Thank you everyone for joining, and today we will discuss about a new topic. And I think those of you who have studied psychology and those of you who have some interest in psychology, you already have heard this particular term. Okay, this term is called learned helplessness. Okay, and we will go deeper. What does this term mean and what it actually is? So, and what is the relationship between this learned helplessness and mindfulness? Okay, so first let me discuss what is learned helplessness. Okay, so learned helplessness is a psychological state where an individual believes that they have no control over their environment or their outcomes or their emotions. They just give it up. Okay, so this can lead to feelings of hopelessness, apathy, depression, loneliness, negative mood. Okay, so many people who had depression or many people who are going through some kind of depressive episode or those people who had a lot of stress in their life, uh, they it has been found that they have this particular tendency of learned helplessness. And I can give you an example, okay, to make it easier to understand. So, suppose a small elephant, just a baby elephant, is tied, with a bamboo stick, and then the baby elephant does not have so much strength to uproot that bamboo stick from the ground. But the baby elephant thought that you know it's a waste of our energy to try to uproot that bamboo stick, and that same programming, that same mindset was ingrained in its brain, that even though the elephant became stronger, became an adult elephant, and it grew stronger, that limiting mindset, it's still there in its brain, and the elephant do not exercise any energy or power to uproot that bamboo stick, although it's very easy to uproot that bamboo stick with with his power and energy. And this is the example of learned helplessness. Since when it was very small, it did not have the power, and that past experience affected his mind. Even though he grew stronger and bigger, he still thinks that he won't be able to uproot that bamboo stick. Although this is not true, this is not fact. And many people, or I think all of us, more or less, to some extent, got affected by this psychological concept called learned helplessness. It could be because of our parents. Now, no parents they want to do any harm, but sometimes they do it, in unconscious manner. So when a baby is born into this world, he or she does not know whether this world is a friendly place or whether it's a very hostile place. He or she does not know whether there is a abundance or there is a lack. He or she does not know whether you know like there will be opportunities or there will be obstacles. So when a baby is growing up, that social circle, maybe the experience in school, maybe the experience in the neighborhood, that shaped their mind and that shaped their value system. Okay, when I was going through my mental health crisis, I was in a mental hospital and I spent there for 3.5 months. And I have met many patients who had this condition, this learned helplessness, because something they could not do in the past, they think they cannot do in the future. Okay, even though the doctors were telling them again and again that no, no, now you are better, now you are fine, now you are out of depression, now your symptoms are very less, you can join your job, you can learn a new skill, you can learn a new language, you can again start your maybe college education, maybe master degree. But somehow they were influenced with this these past incidents. So maybe a person, and he or she had to give a presentation, but the moment they went up or they tried to give the presentation, it was not good, they fumbled, maybe people laughed at them, and that particular experience sipped into their brain, and they started developing a kind of negative self-talk. I cannot do that. I'm not good at public speaking. I'm not good at accounting. I'm not good at computer. I'm not good at, you know. And sometimes what happens, even in our school, sometimes teachers also did that in a negative manner. I'm not telling they did it in a conscious manner, but unconsciously, without knowing the outcome, without knowing the ripple effect, sometimes they say, ah, you are not good at math. Don't take this subject in your higher study. Oh, you are pretty dumb when it comes to physics. And I have seen that kind of like nowadays education system has changed, but I'm talking about like 20, 30 years earlier, the kind of school we had, the kind of college we had. And sometimes parents and teachers did that in an unconscious manner, or maybe a person told something, and then the person who had this kind of negative experience, they kept on repeating that again and again and again in their mind. And the more they repeated, that value system, that belief system got stronger and stronger and stronger. Okay, so we all were affected with this phenomena called learned helplessness. Okay, now now you might ask me like, okay, we understood what is learned helplessness. Now, what is it is to do with mindfulness? Okay, so here comes the relationship, that how we can overcome this learned helplessness with mindfulness, and also we are going to discuss some other strategies. But before uh, going into that, I'll tell you a small story. Now, it's a real life incident, not a fictional story. Like before 1950s, it was believed that a person cannot run a mile in less than 4 minutes. And people thought that if a person tries to run a mile within 4 minutes, like before, they can reach the finish line, their body will collapse. Okay, so their body would break down and they might even die. So this was the belief system before 1950s, that a person cannot run a mile within 4 minutes, or within 4 minutes, yes, or less than 4 minutes, right? So what happened in 1954 on 6th May, a runner, an athlete, and his name was Roger Bannister. So he ran a mile in 3 minutes and 59.4 millisecond. Okay, so he ran a mile uh, less than 4 minutes. He took 3 minutes and 59.4 millisecond. And now everyone mindset was changed, because previously all believed that there is a limit. A person cannot run a mile in less than 4 minutes. But the surprising fact happened afterwards. Now, in less than 2 months, someone broke Bannister's record. And then that record was broken again and again. Okay, so after that particular incident where Roger Bannister ran a mile in less than 4 minutes, 1400 more athletes has did that uh, thing. They all ran a mile in less than 4 minutes. So this is a real life example that the limit exists in our mind. Okay, it's not factual, it's not opinion. Yeah, Fran, you can Google just Roger Bannister and you can find his story. It was a remarkable incident. Yes, it's a remarkable incident or event which changed the mindset of people in in 1950s, because people thought that if a person tries to run a mile in less than 4 minutes, he may even die or she may even die. And after that record was broken once, people keep on breaking his records, and more than 1400 athletes, more than 1400 racers has completed a mile in less than 4 minutes. So this shows that most of the this learned negative values and negative limits that we have developed in our mind, most of them are false. Most of them are not factually true. These are just opinions of people. These are just different kind of outcome of experience which made us believe that we are not good at. And just this opposite of this learned selflessness, there is another concept in psychology which was coined by psychologist Bandura. His name was, I think, Albert Bandura. Yeah, I think his name was Albert Bandura. And he coined a term called self-efficacy, which is just opposite of learned helplessness. So what is self-efficacy? Self-efficacy means when we are faced with a challenge, when we are faced with a crisis, or maybe we are faced with a difficult test, a difficult exam, a difficult subject, we should think, or we can think that, okay, maybe it could be difficult, but let me try, without saying it's not my cup of tea, with without saying it is beyond my capacity, it's beyond my ability. I can say, okay, let me try. Okay, let me put my hard work. Okay, let me go through all the topics, and I can do that. I can pass this exam. I can finish this project. I can run this business. I can learn the new language. I can learn that new skill. So this let me try is example of self-efficacy. And this term was coined by Albert Bandura. You can Google him up. He's a very nice, a very interesting study, and he had made many research and many studies of which you can find on internet. So self-efficacy is just opposite of learned helplessness. So in learned helplessness, what happens? Most of the time people stayed in the past. Maybe they had some negative experience. Maybe they could not pass an exam, maybe they could not learn, and they are still holding that belief that they will not be able to do that in future. Just because they were not successful in the past, they will not be able to succeed in the future, which is not true, which is um, just a lie. And it's just a voice, inner voice, okay, which keeps on telling, you are not good enough, oh, you cannot do that, oh, thousands of people will laugh at you. And the first step to overcome this learned helplessness is to become aware that this negative voice is not we, it is not you, or it is not I. The negative voice is a separate, has a separate persona, and I myself is a separate entity. Most of the time, what happens, we believe that we are that negative voice, which is constantly demotivating us, which is constantly making us afraid, which is constantly, catastrophizing all the incidents which are going on, which is making us always feel gloomy, or showing us the a sad picture or a negative picture. So first we need to be aware, or we need to develop that awareness that no, no, I am not that negative voice in my mind. And this is that is there is a reason that we should always have a positive self-talk. I don't know whether you have heard this quotation or not. Even I cannot remember who said this quotation, and the quotation is like that be mindful of your self-talk. It is a conversation with the universe. I need to Google it to find out who said this quotation, but I remember this quotation, that be mindful about your self-talk, because it is a conversation with the universe. So, and self-talk is so powerful. We do not even know the importance of the self-talk. And because uh, if our self-talk is positive, nourishing, encouraging, curious, and like supportive, then it will be reflected in our behavior. Okay, so the kind of words that we use and the kind of behavior that we show depends upon our, sometimes it depends upon our subconsciousness, and in that subconsciousness we have all this kind of past experience, maybe hatred, maybe sadness, maybe trauma, maybe guilt, maybe all those negative experience that we have stored for last 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, sometimes something like that. And mindfulness is a key which actually help us staying in the present moment. So this particular concept is very common for people who are going through different kind of mental disorder, or they are going through depression, or even those people who had a difficult time, and maybe they could not succeed in business, maybe they were not good at jobs, and maybe they were not good at any subject, and they started believing that they won't be able to get success even in the future, which is wrong. Okay, so this particular like this particular learned helplessness uh, lead us to a very unfulfilling life, and even for example, a person uh, who is having a particular mental disorder, for example, he is having BPD, or borderline personality disorder. And those people who are afflicted with borderline personality disorder, they find it very difficult to manage their emotions, release their emotions, and sometimes they show the outburst of their emotions through anger, through violence. They are not doing it, consciously. That is their illness. So, because they had a history of unstable relationships, conflicts with friends, or maybe frequent breakups, and despite their desire for a very fulfilling connection, they often engage in behavior that push people away, like I told you, like intense emotional outburst, or maybe some other kind of impulsive actions. And they start, or they may believe that they are unlovable, and they are doomed to be alone, just because in past they did not have good relationships, they did not have good friends. They think in future also they will live alone, and no one will befriend them, and they will die alone, and all this kind of morbid thoughts keep on lingering in their mind, which is again the example of learned helplessness. So this is where mindfulness comes. Okay, because when we practice mindfulness, the first thing that we do, that we live in the present moment. Okay, we detach from the past. We let the past stay in the past. There is a funny saying that let the past stay in the past. Don't bring your past into the present moment. So in mindfulness, we become fully present and aware of our thoughts, our feelings, our surroundings, without any judgment. And the mindfulness has come from this vipassana, which means taking reality, or experiencing reality, or perceiving reality as it is. So, more we practice mindfulness, we develop an insight where we can find out this all these negative self-talks are only self-talk. They're only uh, the voice of a like a monster within us, and it is not real. So I and that the negative voice in my mind are not one. We are different. Okay, so the moment we develop this detachment from that negative voice that keeps on popping up in all of us all of the time. Maybe you are going to deliver a research paper on a university. Maybe you are going to perform a musical instrument in a concert. That negative voice will pop up sometimes, and it is our duty to not to feed that negative voice. Okay, not to pay any attention. Let it come. It will linger in our mind for some time, and then it will go away. Okay, we don't need to engage with this negative voice. Okay, so when we practice mindfulness, we identify these negative thoughts in a more conscious manner. Okay, so mindfulness is a way to know ourselves. We are getting to know ourselves better. What are the things which makes us joyful? What are the things which makes us angry? And all kind of feelings uh, sometimes gets amplified during our mindfulness session, and that is fine. Okay, some kind of emotion comes, some kind of different thought comes, but we do not judge them, we do not label them, and we just witness all the things, just like the clouds passing through a sky, and we become the witness. We do not engage with passing of the cloud, and we know after the cloud passes, again we will see the bright sky. So uh, the first thing is, when we practice this mindfulness, we stay in the present moment, and we break this habit of going to the past again and again, and thinking about past experience, thinking about past trauma, being guilt about past. And there is no point going to the past and being guilty. I mean, we cannot change the past. Then why we should spend more time and energy going into the past and feeling bad, feeling sorry, and feeling traumatic? I know It's easier said than done, but with practice, we can do that. We all have this habit we, that to going into the past and relive that experience, but it doesn't help, and it is not good for our mental health as well. Okay, so this is the first thing, that we are getting to know about our negative values, our negative thoughts, and negative beliefs. And since we stay in the present moment, it bothers us less. Okay, mindfulness also increase our self-efficacy. Okay, it also increases our self-esteem, and it individual can develop a more positive outlook and a sense of control over their lives. But it takes time. It's not like uh, I've started practicing mindfulness and after 2 days I have conquered myself. No, it takes time. Okay, just like any other skill, mindfulness is also a skill, and also for it takes some times to for neuroplasticity to happen, the neurogenesis, growing new cells inside our brain and making new connection that we call synaptogenesis. Okay, it takes time. Also, mindfulness helps in emotional regulation. What happens whenever we think about any past incident, any past trauma, some negative emotion comes to our mind. We feel sad, we start crying, we feel angry, we feel regret. That is normal. I mean, we all are human beings, and we all have these emotions, and we should appreciate all these emotions because then only our life will be complete. Okay, but mindfulness also helps regulating our emotions, and I think I have discussed that before with some research report that how mindfulness affects our emotion center in our brain, how it affects our amygdala, how it affects different organs like prefrontal cortex, and there are some other organs involved in regulating emotions. Okay. Uh, Through mindfulness, we can also cultivate resilience. Okay, like even if I am faced with a challenge, even if I am faced with an adversity, a crisis, how I can bounce back. So mindfulness boost this resilience within us. So not dwelling into that past event, that yes, I can start it, I can do something new, I can learn something new, and I can be better. With self-efficacy talks about, again, mindfulness helps in that because we are detaching the connection between past and present moment. We are trying to stay in the present moment fully, and not thinking about the past incident. Now, apart from and there are growing body of research when it comes to the benefits of mindfulness. Like it has been proven that mindfulness reduces depressions or the symptoms of depressions. Mindfulness increase self-efficacy. Mindfulness improves cognitive functions. Mindfulness increases neuroplasticity, and all these are proven facts, proven by neuroscientists. So I talked about neuroplasticity, and this is one of the my interest area because I also suffered from OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder. And I thought that I am born with a faulty brain, and now I have to, keep on going with this brain only. I do not have any other option. But the moment I learned about neuroplasticity, that we have the power and we have the ability to change our brain, to reshape our brain, to rewire our brain by different practices. Mindfulness is one practice through which we can enable neuroplasticity and rewire our brain and reshape our brain. So I keep on talking about neuroplasticity because this is the hope that we don't have to keep on going with the same brain that we have developed uh, in our adolescence, but every day we can rewire, reshape, and change our brain. And I have talked about a researcher, and her name was Sarah Laser, and she did research that how this neuroplasticity takes place when we do mindfulness. And she used some scanning device, some MRI and some other instrument, and she measured that the mindfulness changes the brain structure positively, and how it increases gray matter in area which impacts us, for better cognitive function, better memory, and better attentions, and how it reduces gray matter in area which actually makes us impulsive. And one such area is amygdala, a small almond-shaped organ which gives signal like fight or flight syndrome, which I have already talked about. So apart from mindfulness, what are the other things that we can do? And when we talk about mindfulness, you can do any kind of mindfulness. Breathing mindfulness, mindful eating, mindful walking, body scanning mindfulness. You can do all these things. Now, apart from mindfulness, what are the other things that we can do to overcome this learned helplessness? uh, you can do any kind of exercise. Okay, so regular exercise releases endorphins, which is uh, feel good hormone, and any kind of exercise uh, increases our self esteem. Any kind of exercises help us develop self efficacy. Okay, any kind of exercise, any kind of sports, yoga, running, going to gym, any kind of exercise is very good to manage this thing. So the second thing that you can we can do is we can do some kind of goal setting, and we can break down a big goal into smaller modules. Okay, so suppose I have to write one page a day. I will think, okay, I will write one paragraph in the morning, maybe another paragraph in the afternoon, maybe another in the evening, and maybe another before going to sleep. So in this way, it will not feel very overwhelming to me, and at the same time, I'll be able to control my task. So, breaking bigger models into smaller models is another thing. And the moment I finish one paragraph, it will give me some self confidence. It will give me some kind of motivation. And with that motivation, I can write another paragraph. Same with reading. You are starting a new book. Same with learning a new language. Same with learning a new musical instrument. Same with anything that you want to pursue in your life. Okay, so this goal setting is another exercise that we can do to overcome this learned helplessness. Uh, Social support is also very helpful, like connecting with friends, family, any support group, or any person who uh, you feel good when you, yes, social support, or any person who you think as a mentor, or you feel good about yourself when you talk to the person, that is also fine. And sharing experience, okay, that is why support group sometimes do wonderful work, because in a support group we share each other's experience, and other can help individual feel less alone and isolated, and people can learn from each other. So any kind of support group is fine, or like this kind of community where we are in this sun vibes in inspiration island, this is also a kind of community where we can share with each other and we can learn from each other. uh, Also, there is a therapy called CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and in that behavioral therapy also, the psychologist or the counselor or the therapist, they identify these negative thought patterns. So those like those people, those individuals who does this CBT, they recognize and challenge these negative thought patterns that contribute to learned helplessness. And they also teach you or some coping strategies, how you can like some coping mechanism, how you can find solution. And I have seen one thing, even in my family, even in my schools, and even in my college, sometimes people talk about problems. Okay, there is no job in the market, people are not going to get good salary, we are going to have a recession, and all this talk, all this conversation from our parents, from our teachers, from our society have become a very problem oriented, not a solution oriented. They have discussed about recession, they have discussed about the unemployment, but they did not say, okay, fine, recession is coming, economy is going to see inflation, but if we do this, we can come out of it. So the conversation should be less problem focused and more solution oriented. So this is another thing which we can cultivate in our family. So not always talking about the problem. Yes, problem will be there. I mean, there is no one in this world who is without any problem. But when we are talking in our family or in our class or in our um, any community or any group, we should also focus on the solution. Not only talking about the problem, but shifting the discussion from the problem focused to solution focused. Okay, so the CBT is one therapy which actually helps with this negative pattern. And another thing which is very helpful, that is affirmation. So affirmation actually changes this self-talk, even sometimes in a forced manner. Suppose I am having a very bad day, but still I'm saying, I am good, I'm happy. We have seen this kind of uh, clippings in different kind of movies. But even this forced positive affirmation sometimes helps. And there is a growing research on affirmation, and you can find that on Google. Many research had been conducted on affirmation. So that is another thing that you can do even when the day we practice loving kindness meditation or meta meditation. We incorporated this affirmation, because in loving kindness mindfulness or meditation there is affirmation. Okay, um, you can find that video maybe on our YouTube channel, where we discuss loving kindness meditation or meta meditation. If you want, if you do not, if you could not see that information, you are free to befriend me and ask me, and I'll be glad to tell you once again that how we can do this meta meditation or loving kindness meditation. So this is the thing that we have discussed today, that what is self-help, learned helplessness, and how we can overcome that. Oh my God, I am constantly speaking for 40 minutes. I hope you are not bored. So now, if you have any question, I'll be very glad to answer you. Any question on this topic? Maybe you can share your own experience as well. That is also fine. If you have these issues in your life, and how you could. Mhm. Wow, that's great. We all should attend this session. Thank you, Liz, for sharing. Okay, so any question on this kind of limiting beliefs that we nurture unconsciously inside our mind, and then in future it hinders us, or it demotivates us, and we think that we are not good enough. And I think we all had this kind of experience to some extent. And those people who had depression, I myself had depression when I was going through that mental health crisis, and I have met many people who had suffered with depression, and they all had this particular incident called learned helplessness. Okay, no question. Okay, even if you have any question in future, then also you can ask me. True, true. Yes, Liz. We all are little broken. We all, are flawed. We all have a shadow personality, and that is fine. We are all human. And I think Rumi said that we all are broken, and this is how the light gets in. The Persian poet Rumi. Hmm. Yeah, Protlinka, definitely. You can just change those self-talk. We all can change those self-talk. I'm so glad, Fran, that you found it helpful. Okay. Okay, fine then. I'm so glad you all could come, you all could join, and okay. And it's good to look back and remember so that we can see more solution to our problems and not that hopelessness of that past is. Yeah, exactly. This is not the future. Our mind just, gets programmed by this. It's a lie. It's not true. Ah, I'm glad, Luna, that you found it interesting. Yeah. So, thank you everyone for joining once again, and we shall meet next Monday. And next Monday, we will discuss something else related with mindfulness, with mental health, with brain health, and together we can evolve and we can become a, you know, better human being. Okay, namaste everyone. Have a great week.
Thanks. Thanks so much. Namaste.